In today's video, I am breaking down for you the step-by-step process of buying a chateau in France. My name is Olivier Schweizer and I am the founder of So Châteaux. I had the chance to visit more than 300 castles and meet all the owners of these fantastic historic properties. And I want to share with you what I learned during this 6 years journey across France. And I hope it can be useful for you if you plan to buy a chateau. So let's dive in. So the very first step, and in my opinion, the most important one, is to clearly define your chateau project, meaning the budget, of course. And when I speak about budget, it's not only about the purchase, how much you will pay for it. Of course, you have to put a number on this, how much you can afford and how much you are willing to pay for the chateau. You have to put a number on this. But what is often under is the maintenance cost, how much it will cost to maintain the chateau year by year. This, you should put a number on it. How much money you can afford to pay each year to maintain it. Meaning with your professional incomes, if you continue your job after you bought the chateau, or with the business revenue that you are planning to receive from the activities you will do in the chateau in the future. In both cases, maybe it's a mix of both, but in both cases, you have to put a number on this. How much? Generally, it's between 1 and 3% of the property value, of the chateau value. So you can put a number. If you have the purchase cost, you can at least, depending, of course, on the type of chateau, the size, and the activities you plan to do, it may vary quite a lot. But 1 to 3%, it's quite conservative to put this number on the maintenance cost. And also the restoration cost, meaning, of course, if you buy a chateau that it's a turnkey chateau that you can use on day one and live in it, and on the other hand, you buy a chateau that needs 2 or 3 years of restoration with a lot of money, and maybe you are waiting for some help from the states, financial helps. So this is not at all the same project. So you should also define clearly what type of project you are going into. So this is the first, for me, the 3 lines of budget: purchase, maintenance cost, annual maintenance cost, and restoration. So the second point I want to speak about, it's the location, the type of chateau you want to buy. This is really important to name it and to put your location preferences, because it will not have only an impact on your comfort. Because of course, if you live in the south of France with 300 sunny days, and if you live in the Nord Pas-de-Calais region where there is 200 days of rain, or in Brittany, for example, you will not have the same life. You will not enjoy the life on the same level for sure. But it's not only about your comfort. The location is really important also in terms of maintenance costs, for example. If you live in Provence, to take this example, you will not use your heating system all year long. You will maybe use it from October, November until February, March. March should be good like this. In the north of France, in comparison, for the same size of chateau, you will have to use it more likely from September until May sometimes, and at a higher level, because the temperature is not at all the same. So you will have a big difference in terms of maintenance cost. And it's quite important because in France, you may know already, but energy bills are really, really expensive and going up and up and up. So for the gas, for the electricity, for the fuel, for almost all energy, you will pay more and more each year. And it increased a lot lately. So this is really important. And also, not only about these costs, it's also the location, south of France, to take the opposite again. You will not have the same attractivity. So if you plan to make a business in the south of France, you will also be able to make more money, for example, for weddings, because the range dates of availability for your chateau for weddings will be really bigger than in the north of France. Also, you don't need so much interior spaces in the south of France compared to the north of France, because you can rely on the meteo in the south of France. You can rely on the sun to be here. So you can rent the chateau only for the outside, for example, for a garden party, for a garden buffet, for the wedding, for example. And you don't need especially to have an inside place to receive 100 guests, which create also more complication in terms of insurance, in terms of responsibility, and in terms of security and fire safety, for example. In the north of France, really it's difficult. Or you make only July and August and you cross your fingers that it's a good year. Otherwise, you will need an inside place to receive these people with everything that I told you just before about security, insurance, etc., possible cancellation if it's not good. And also the fact that when it's raining, it's damaging more your land outside the park, and even inside you will have more cleaning to do, etc. So it's more complicated. So you see, the location can have a huge impact also on the attractivity. If you are next to in south of France, there is a lot of tourists who are coming all year long, and you will have more opportunities to make business, especially for guided tour or even for events that you could organize for the tourists compared to the north of France. I am not saying that north of France is to avoid at all costs, not at all, because there are certainly some interesting opportunities in the north, because it has some advantages compared to the south also. Mainly, for example, for the connectivity, the transportation. If you are in the north of France, you have all these highways coming from Paris, from Brussels, for example, or also the train coming from Paris again, but also from London under the Manche, the Eurostar. So you can have also international connection from London, from Brussels, even from Luxembourg on the other side, which are good customers also, who have purchasing power, quite important. And you can attract these people from Paris, Luxembourg, Brussels, or London, even Switzerland, not so far, and Germany. So you see, this is something you have to balance and to consider, depending on what you want to do in this chateau. So also, the third point is related to what I am saying right now. It will have a huge impact what you want to do, private residence, business, or both of them. So, of course, if you want to make a business, the outbuildings will be a major asset if you can have outbuildings that are usable for business purposes. I am thinking to a barn, for example, that you could transform to receive events, weddings, or also some rooms that are made especially for seminary, for seminars, or for B2B rent place, to B2B events that you could organize in the chateau. And also, when you do that, of course, it has a huge impact when you open it for the public. For the public, you will have a lot of regulation to follow, for sure, for, as I said before, but safety, and also to have, for example, a fire system, exit dedicated if there is a problem, a fire. You will have a security commission who is coming if you plan to open it for the public. And it will become what we call in France ERP, meaning établissement recevant du public, which is really strict. It has 5 categories depending on the number of persons that you can or will receive in your chateau. And each category has specific regulations that will impact the money that you have to bring to make it okay for opening for the public. So this is quite important also to know. These ERP laws are quite underestimated also. So now you define clearly your Chateau project. You have all the info, you know where and how you want to be this Chateau, and you have to search for it. So for this, you have different kind of website in France that you can use. Specialize the website. You may already know, but I will give you a list here. Beldemer.com, which is a portal with a lot of different property for sale and a lot of chateaux. Generally, when you put the filter chateau, you have almost always at least 1,000 chateaux for sale in France. So you have a huge, huge catalog to look in and to find your chateau with some filters that you can apply. The same for Propriété Le Figaro, I would say. It's almost the same because when a real estate agent publish or has in his portfolio a new chateau for sale, he has an automatic system that publish automatically the ad on different websites. Beldemer.com, Propriété Le Figaro are the classic ones. So you will almost find the same, not always, but almost find the same on these two platforms. After, you can look specifically on agency websites because they don't always publish all the listings on beldemer.com and Propriété Le Figaro. So you can find some interesting ones, maybe old ones, but it means that are more negotiable if they are on the market for a long time. So Sotheby's International is one of them. What is good is that it's in French, in English. You can find all interesting chateaux, especially for the higher budget, I would say more than 2 million euros. Cabinet Le Nail, it's another one you may already know. They have a large variety of castles they sell from the 200,000 ruin up to the 20 million fantastic chateau next to Paris. They have all kinds of chateaux they propose, and they have new ones quite regularly. Patrice Besse, which is another one, another agency that is on the market for a long time. And they focus, exclusively on historic properties. So not only chateau, but mills, abbaye, and also some churches maybe, and some old houses and manors in Normandy or Brittany, for example. But they are quite selective, and you find very nice chateau also on Patrice Besse. I didn't mention it here, but there is also Deniel Immobilier, which is another agency that is here for maybe less time, but maybe 7 or 8 years on the market. But they propose really interesting chateaux. Two brothers, young brothers, and they are really passionate about their work. They love that, and they are also very well qualified, historian, architect for the other. So they have very good qualification for this job. And again, they are very passionate. So I should have had them in this list. But anyway, you can download. I didn't tell you until now, but you will be able to download this presentation that I am making right now if you are interested by clicking on the link in the description. And I know you are a lot also, more than expected, more than 60% of you are watching my videos on TV. So I will put right now on the screen the QR code that you can use with your smartphone to go on my website, olivier.sochataux.com, where you can download this presentation. General website also. So leboncoin.fr is the most famous website in France. I am pretty sure that not a lot of Americans and foreigners know leboncoin.fr, but in France, it's really the main website where you can sell and buy anything, really anything. So I think it's like a Craigslist in US. And you can find sometimes some interesting chateaux that are not proposed by the agency. I mean, they are proposed directly by the seller. So it's interesting. You can find some interesting chateau. And often this is good for chateau under 1 million, because if it's above, generally the owner try to sell via an agency because it's more safe for them. And under, you can find some interesting chateaux on Le Bon Coin. So it's only in French, so you have to put keywords in French. Chateau, manoir, art restauré, and you can find by putting some filter on the region and budget, maybe sometimes some interesting chateaux. Bienici.com, it's the same. It's like Le Bon Coin, maybe a little bit less famous, but more and more used by French people. Again, you will find also the agency listings, but also listings that are proposed by private owners. You can even filter if you want to just show the ads that are proposed by private owner. At least on Le Bon Coin, you can do it. On Bienici, I am not sure, but almost sure. Be careful, because on some chateaux that are for sale, this is noted viager in France. It's quite important because viager, I don't know if you have this system in US or somewhere else in the world, but viager means you are buying the chateau with the owner inside. So you cannot use the chateau until the owner dies. When he dies, you will be officially the owner of the chateau. I mean, you are the owner, but you cannot use it until he dies. So be careful to uncheck viager, to not start to be enthusiastic about a chateau, because the price will be, of course, really lower, but you will buy it with the owner inside. So if he is 96 years old, you can cross your fingers, but it's a really bad situation. You cannot expect and want someone to die, so you can have your chateau. So I don't like very much this process in France of viager, but it exists and you have to know it. And so seloger.com, I didn't speak about it, but it's like Bienici. It's a portal where there is a lot of properties for sale. Anyway, pro tip for you now, I'll just created So Châteaux alert, which is on my website again, so olivier.sochataux.com. I will put the link in the description, and I now put on the screen the QR code for you watching on the TV. So you can subscribe to this free system that I decided to create, where, because I receive all the notification from all the websites and more that I listed right here. And so I can filter them and send you almost real time. It's the goal, but for now it's not real time, but you will receive alert as soon as a chateau hit the market and match your criteria. And so this is a way for you to not subscribe to all these websites, but just on So Châteaux alert, and you will receive notification as soon, meaning few hours after a listing hit the market. And you will be ahead the world, attention, before the world knows. You will be able to at least know that it exists and that you can maybe make a move and try to buy it before the other. On each of these alerts, I will add a short video with my analysis on this chateau, what I think it's good, and some challenge that you may have with it. And so I hope it will be useful, and you will have the list of all the chateau and all the alerts I sent on the website, also olivier.sochataux.com. This is the beginning of this story, so it will take some time to adjust the settings and to be sure that it's perfect for you. I am working on other tools also, especially to estimate the cost of maintenance for a chateau and the restoration also, so it can be useful. It will come in the future. So now that you found your dream chateau, let's go to the next step. Before doing the visit and planning to make a big trip in France, spending a lot of money in flights and hotel and car rental, you can and you should first ask some information at the real estate agent. First one, Google Earth. You have to ask a Google Earth photo of the chateau, because as you may have seen on the real estate listings, they almost never show you what is surrounding the chateau. I already complained a lot about that in some ads and some videos that I made, but this is the case. For me, it's really annoying to not see, don't see what is around the chateau. So please ask them a Google Earth photo. So you will see what is around the chateau before to make a big trip in France, and you arrive there and there is a big industry just next to the chateau, because for sure they will hide this on the listing, and they will maybe not tell you when you are on the phone. So this is not only about industry, but there can be some solar panel field, or wind turbines, or agriculture farms with a lot of animals, and the noise and the smell, and the fields that can be contaminated by the pesticide for the agriculture land in some cases. So you will be also maybe contaminated in your field, in the water, depending on the system of the water, and also on the fruit or vegetables that you may cultivate in your land. Anyways, it's good to know what is around a chateau. You should ask that. And if they don't give it to you, it's generally because they, on the listings at least, they don't publish it. It's because they don't want you to contact directly the owner and to be able to identify the chateau. And also to avoid the concurrent agency to contact the owner to try to sell the chateau for them. They are afraid to lose their commission. You have to understand that also. If they don't have also the exclusivity of the sale, because this is how it works in France, you sign a mandat with the chateau owner, and you are able to sell the chateau for a defined period, generally 3-6 months. You can have a mandat exclusive, meaning you are the only one agency who is allowed to sell the chateau. So even if the owner sells the chateau by himself on his side, you will have to pay the commission, or the owner will have to pay the commission to the agency when you sign an exclusive mandat. If it's not exclusive, this is when it starts to become important for them to hide some information to be sure that nobody try to trick them and bypass the agency commission. This was the point. But Google Earth, they should give you the info because they can blur the different cities that are available on the map. So you just have a clear view from above what is around. This is it. Second documentation that you should ask is, of course, the energy bills, because it will vary a lot depending on the region, as I told you before. Also, the property taxes, tax foncière, which is the annual tax, property tax that you have to pay. It will depend about different factors: the size of the building, the size of the land, and the commune, the city where the chateau is, because it can vary from 1 to 3 or 4, depending on the commune, on the city where you are in. You should ask the tax foncière. And also, of course, all the other bills related, water bills, internet. Check also if there is a good connection, meaning do they have optical fiber in this region? Because if you plan to make a business, it can be really important, especially if you make B2B seminars or stuff like that. You need a very good connection. So this is quite important also, and I would look for this before traveling also. Also, you can ask if they made any inspections, because it's sometimes the case. The owner by themselves decide to make an inspection. They should do that also before selling. They are not obliged, but they should. What they are obliged in certain circumstances is to provide you the DPE, which is energy diagnosis, meaning they will tell you if in terms of from A to J, what is the level of the chateau. A is the best one, meaning it's perfectly isolated. You have a very good condition. Generally, this kind of A classification is more for a new small flat in the new buildings with double glass, I don't know how you say, glazing windows, and everything perfect, insulation inside, perfect, etc., etc. It's rarely the case, but for a chateau, you can expect F or J or J for the DPE, a diagnostic de performance énergétique. It's called in French. But except that historical research, for sure, you should ask and you should research, not ask, research by yourself on internet all the information you can find on the historical significance of the chateau, because it can have also an impact on your business if you plan especially to make guided tour. If you have a really strong character who lives in the chateau, or if there is an interesting story about maybe the revolution in France at this period, or during the war, I don't know, the World War, if something happened, it's quite important. And also it will give you some information about the structural change that appears during the different period of the chateau. So after this, you are you decided to come in France, welcome in France, and to make your first visit. My advice for this is always to bring a French native speaker with you. Even if you speak fluently in France, you think you speak good in French, trust me, it would be very helpful to have a French chateau advisor on your side to help you and to ask critical questions, and also to understand really the technical discussions that you may have, that you want to have, or me to ask them on your behalf some questions and to receive answer. I will, if it's me, because I say that because I propose this service to come with you when you make a visit, and I can be your advisor on this side. When I do that, I always try to ask questions that the owner will not ask, but they will be happy to hear the answer. So this is quite important, and also to have an independent view, less emotional than you could have as a potential buyer. So this is my first and strong advice I would give to you. And if it's not me, it can be anyone that has some experience in the chateau field or in the restoration field, or someone who has who is a lawyer, who has some legal experience. It's not my case for this, but you should have someone on your side, which is really not on the seller side. What to inspect? I will not go deep in that, but you have to check every room from the cellar to attics. For sure, what is the most important, it's the roof, the structure, what is on the top, and also what is on the bottom, meaning under and above. You have three sides on a castle, in fact. You have the top, which is linked to the air, okay? And you have the cellar, the foundation of the chateau, which is linked to the grounds. These are the two most fragile part of the chateau, plus the facade with the wind, with everything that can come on it. These are really the three important elements from outside. So from inside, you have your eye already, so you can see there is some structure problems, some cracks everywhere, some moisture, humidity, which is one of the most important problem that you can have in a chateau, especially on the wood. On the wood structure, you should be very careful with this, because there is what we call the mérule, which is a champignon, fungus, that goes on the charpente. This is really something that can totally explode your budget of restoration. I have some cases with some chateau owner I know. It changed totally the project, because they plan to do a lot of things to open to the public. Bim, they discover this. It changed everything for 3 years. They should not open. They had to put a lot of money, take a new mortgage to make the restoration, and it's totally different mindset. It starts to become a nightmare instead of being a fantastic adventure. So spend more time, and I will speak about this in a minute about that, but spend quite a lot of time on this. Inspect by yourself. I will not go on all the list here, but you will be able again to download it anytime in the description or with the QR code. So one thing that I think is never proposed is to try to meet the housekeeper, because generally this guy or this couple who are on site all year long, they know everything about the chateau. Often they know better than the owner himself. And for sure, they know better than the real estate agent. So if you have the opportunity to meet the housekeeper, it's a big plus. He will give you information that will be really useful. And also for you, it will be an important meeting, because you will see if you have a connection with him or this couple. And if yes, you should definitely keep them, if you can, when you buy the chateau, because they will be an important point for you. Not only about the chateau, but with the neighborhood, with the local area, everything what is going around. They know that. They go to buy the bread in the morning, they speak, take the coffee. They know everything what is happening around. And in the chateau, they will know everything also. Maybe a light, there is an electric problem. For sure, the guy knows where is the system to turn off the electricity and to find a good electrician next to the chateau that can come quickly to fix the problem. So having the opportunity to speak with the housekeeper is also, for me, underestimated and almost never done at the first visit. 6, technical inspection. This is the next visit you should do before buying the chateau or making an offer, at least. It's to bring a real specialist, meaning or a bureau d'études, technical study office, or architecte du patrimoine, to have a document and a person who is really specialized to make a diagnosis of the current situation of the main buildings, and maybe the outbuildings also, but at least the main buildings, and give you guarantee, or at least to reassure you that everything is good, or if something is not good and you are okay with it, but to know what you have to do with this, and maybe also already some not quote, but some estimation of the budget you have to put in it to make it work. This is really important. And even again, if you think that the chateau is very good and you don't need anything, it's perfect condition, you should do that. On something that costs 1 million or more, you should spend 3,000 or 5,000 euros on this technical inspection before making an offer. It will help you, but you can also put this in what is coming next. It's the compromis de vente, meaning in the offer that you will do. It will give you also for the real estate agent, a protection, and at least you know everything is on the paper. You should do that. Community research and local integration. This is also, in my opinion, important. When you go to visit the chateau, you should try to meet the mayor. Schedule an appointment before, because you will have really insider insights, and also you will have a connection with one of the most important person for your chateau, the mayor. He has a lot of power locally. He can decide a lot of things, and he is responsible for a lot of things. And so you should meet him and ask him some question about the different projects that are maybe planned for around the chateau that you may not know and the real estate will not tell you. Also, if there is some potential, partnership with them that you can, if he is happy to welcome you and you see that there is a big interest in your Chateau project. You can present him your project, see his reaction. Maybe he will have some ideas and some interesting ideas to share together, and you will see if you are on the same path together. Visit local businesses, of course. You can spend some time there. As I told you before, the housekeeper is your main asset, but you can do it by yourself. Go take a croissant and cafe and ask the people some questions about the chateau, because they will have some stories to share with you for sure. Because in this specific zone, city, the chateau represent for sure something important for them. They maybe have some relative in the past who worked in the chateau. Maybe they have even some documents, some archives, some photos that are related to the chateau stories that can be really interesting for you. And also give you what they think about you, what they think about foreigners. Because in some region in France, especially some rural region in France, foreigners, and even sometimes only Parisian people who are coming in this region, are not always welcome. So you have to be careful about this, and you have to feel it. You have to feel that you are welcome. This is quite important. You can ask questions about the tourism, how it works, because this kind of businesses, like I say, for the boulangerie or where you can buy your newspaper, they have a lot of info about that, and they know more than you for sure, and more than the real estate agent again. So you can also connect, this is the third thing that I want to say, you should connect with the neighbors, meaning the neighbors, direct neighbors of your chateau, just to present yourself, say that you are thinking to buy the chateau, see their reaction, etc. But also try to connect with the chateau owners that are next to your chateau. Because if it's next to your chateau, they have certainly connection. There are certainly some information that they can share with you about the chateau. And also, you can start a good relation with them. They should have also a good connection with the craftsmen in the area. They can give you some advice, some tips, some numbers, contacts that can be useful for you in the future. And also maybe start a good relation and maybe have opportunities or conflict. Maybe they will not appreciate that you will buy the chateau. I don't think so. It's more like partnership possibilities, opportunities that you can have with this kind of chateau. So don't hesitate to do that. So now you met all the people, you are decided to make an offer. Great. For this, I will not go too deep in that, but just to tell you the price that is displayed on the ad generally is negotiable, especially if the listing is here for a long time. But often, even if it's not for a long time, you have really a margin for negotiation. 10-20% is quite usual. And if it's on the market for a long time, you may have even more room for negotiation. You can often see on the internet that some castles are listed way above the price you can expect from this kind of chateau. And slowly they start to decrease the price, because there is the expectation of the owner and the view he has on his chateau, and there is the reality of the market. So sometimes you cannot except if you find someone really who fell in love with your chateau and don't negotiate and you sell it for a fantastic price. It's not so often the case. I saw some castles were sold for 30 million, and after that they put at 20, then 15, then 10, then 6.15, then 5. So it's not so easy to sell a chateau, especially when you try to buy a chateau, when you try to sell a chateau above 5 millions. Because of course, under this price at 1-2 million, the market is bigger. There are a lot of more people who wants to buy your chateau. So maybe you can negotiate a little bit less because you know that there are some people behind you who are maybe interested also and have the budget to buy it. In the opposite, at 5+ million, there are not so many people who can afford that. And so you are in good position if you plan to buy this kind of chateau to negotiate with them. Especially if you have the cash to buy it. So this is what I want to say about it. So about this, what you have to be careful, and I will go on the next one, is on the compromis de vente, which is you found the chateau, you make the offer is accepted. Now you really are involved in the legal process to buy the chateau in France. Compromis de vente is really, as written, the preliminary contract. So here, the goal is to lock the sales term. And here, it's really important to know that you have some clause suspensive that you can put on it. It's important because when you sign the compromis de vente, you are engaged, meaning you have to put a deposit of 5 to 10% of the amount of the purchase. So in this 10%, generally it's 10%, you will put this money that is blocked in the notaire. The notaire is the legal entity who makes the sale, represents the state, makes the sale. So you go there with the seller and the real estate agent, and you sign the document. Here you can add the technical inspection that you made. You can also add some clause suspensive, which are contingency clauses. It's important, for example, if you are waiting for a financing for a mortgage for the chateau to buy, you should note this to say, okay, I will buy it for this price at this date, only if I receive my financing. Because if you don't do that, if you don't put it in the compromis de vente, if you don't put it, you will lose your 10% deposit. You will lose your 10% deposit if you are not able to give the money on the date you was written on the compromis de vente. Because there is a compromis de vente, and after this, there is a cooling off period of 10 days where you can remove yourself from the offer without losing your deposit and anything else. So this 10 days period is for you to manage your financing, etc., and to be sure that you will be able to pay the full amount on the day noted on the compromis de vente. So after this 10-day period, you can also put in this clause suspensive some permit that you need, for example, for the renovation. If you plan to make and if it's important for you to be able to build, for example, another building which will serve for the wedding, for example, a glass space for the wedding outside of the chateau, or I don't know which type of building, but something that you will build or renovate, you can put this condition in this compromis de vente. I will only buy if the permis de construire or the permit for the renovation are accepted. And if you are not, if the project are not accepted, you can again remove yourself from the project and keep your 10% deposit. Except that the notary will do all the work, be sure that all the properties documents are okay, etc. You will have a timeline. Generally, yes, it's 2-3 months period between the compromis de vente and the Acte Authentique, which is typically the document for when you will be able to receive the key. So the 10-day protection windows, I spoke about it. So this is really You will see all in details if you download the document, but this is really when you will have the time to remove yourself from the sale if you need to. Acte Authentique is what I said. This is really the final step where the notaire will make all the documentation, everything, and you will come again in France to sign the paper with the seller and with the real estate agent, and you will have important information that you don't know yet. You will have to pay 7 to 8% to the notaire. This money doesn't go directly to the notaire, to himself. He has to give it to the state. In fact, almost 6%, and he will keep around 1% for him and other various administrative fees. But these 7 or 8% are quite important because they are not noted on the listing ads. And for a 1 million euro building, it represents 80,000 euros. So it's not nothing. So you should also add this to your purchase cost, this 7 to 8%. So after, you will receive the key. Congratulations, you are a Chateau owner. So in this case, now what you have to do, important when you receive the key, update the insurance from the very first day. Because I have a story about that a Chateau owner, a Chateau buyer, visit the Chateau on the morning where before to go to the notaire, checking last time before to go to the notaire to be sure that everything was like when he visited the first time. Everything was the same. He signed in the afternoon. He came back on the morning. One of the tower, the roof, fell down during the night because of a storm during the night. It's quite exceptional, but it can happen. In this case, if you didn't take insurance on day one, you are, I don't know how you say in English, but you are not in a good position in this case. So be sure that your insurance will cover from day one your chateau and your properties. So you have to be aware of this. So you have to take everything in consideration before to go to sign the contract to be sure that is set up. Second, transfer the utilities. Classic. You have to change all the name from the electricity to take the number on each compteur. I don't know how you say compteur in English, but the counter. But electricity, water, gas, etc., to change everything on your name, so you are able to manage this and to receive the invoice for yourself when you receive the key. Of course, you have to go locally to register yourself as an inhabitant of this city at the mairie. You met the mayor before, so we will be happy to see you again. And you will, learn more about the local regulation, how many times per week they come to pick up your garbage, how much it will cost for the garbage because it's not free, and the different community services they can have for you that can be useful. And of course, you can start to establish your support network, caretaker, gardener, plumber, electrician, everything you need to manage your chateau. Félicitations! Your chateau owner journey is starting. I hope this long step-by-step process of buying a chateau can be useful for the future. And if you have any question, let me know in the comment. Or if you are really in the step of buying a chateau, you can book a discovery call with me. I will be really happy to speak with you about your project and to give you maybe some tips, advices, and also maybe become your advisor for this whole process and maybe even after. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed this video and it was helpful for you. Bye-bye.